Now all that is coming later in the video, so do stick around for that. But let's start by introducing these two motorcycles to you. Now the Hunter and the Ronin are essentially trying to hook the same buyer, a buyer who's looking for a modern motorcycle but with a tasteful sprinkling of some retro charm. Now on one end we've got a motorcycle that's got a heartwarming design, that's got history, torque and backed by great storytelling. On the other we've got a motorcycle that's light, it's got features, it's got tech and the promise of really strong real-world riding performance. But which is which? But crucially, which is the more successful, or which is the approach that is going to attract buyers? And that's exactly what we're going to find out in the course of this video. But right at the start we can tell you that it's not going to be an easy answer to find. The Hunter is the better looking motorcycle, be it its proportions, its soft lines and how every element fits together like it was cut out of the same rock. Plus you won't mistake it for anything but a Royal Enfield. Okay, maybe a Triumph, but you still get the idea. The Ronin on the other hand comes across as a curious case of too many cooks spoiling the broth. The design, though not unpleasant, doesn't look cohesive or heartwarming or emotive. It seems TVS wanted to achieve too many things here, and as a result, the Ronin has some strong design elements, but unfortunately, they don't come together as one. This of course is when you view the bikes from a distance, be it through your camera phone viewfinder, balcony or the local chai tapri. Come closer and the Ronin begins to outshine the Hunter. The difference isn't huge. The attention to detail, the panel gaps, the operability of the switches and even the general fit and finish and the design for the small elements all around on the TVS are better than the Hunter. The Hunter then will pull at the heartstrings, but the Ronin will make more sense to the head. Now these bikes might have good road presence, but at the end of the day these are street motorcycles, motorcycles you're going to be riding in the city, which means they have to be easy when it comes to riding, they have to have comfortable seating ergos. That's what we're going to compare between the two, that which has more comfortable ergos, which gives you that sort of connect and control. And we'll start with the Ronin. Now the Ronin has a slightly lower seat height, and it's quite easy to swing a leg over. I'm 5'8", it's no problem for me. And then when you put your feet up on the foot pegs, you'll immediately see that it's pretty forward set. So you make this almost 90-degree angle here. And the handlebar also, it's wide and it's closer to the rider, so you have an instantly comfortable seating feeling. And if you are going to be riding, if you're in no hurry, you're on an open road, this makes for a very comfortable seating to be in. But let's say you want to filter through traffic really quickly, that's when you will find that sort of disconnect, because it doesn't give you that sort of involvement that you need for quick direction changes on this one. The other thing actually that works in the Ronin's favor is the light clutch. All you need is one finger and it's very easy to operate. And two, when you want to park, it's super easy to put on the center stand. Now let's see how the Hunter compares. Now the Hunter is obviously the heavier motorcycle and you can feel it when you get it off the stand. Seat height is slightly more than that, but again, no struggle there. And here is where you'll really start telling the difference, that the foot pegs are slightly rear set compared to that. And so when you sit, it's very easy to grip the tank because naturally it forces you to do that, or it compels you to do it. Handlebar, it's not as close on the Ronin, but it's wide enough, and so you are slightly hunched over. But what it does is it gives you better leverage. So when you're riding in the city and you want to filter through traffic, this feels like it's more connected and it'll do your bidding much faster or in a more communicative way. But the clutch, it's almost impossible to use one finger to do it. In fact, two is all right. So it's not very heavy, but it needed to be lighter for a street motorcycle. The other thing is the challenge of putting it on the center stand. It's nowhere as easy as the Ronin, and that's probably because they haven't really bothered changing the center stand design too much compared to, let's say, the Classic. The Classic got bigger wheels, so it's much easier to put on. The 17-inch wheels, so you have to really pick up and pull the bike back, so it takes a little more effort. As far as the ride quality of the two motorcycles go, Hunter's ride, though not exactly pampering, isn't uncomfortable either. Now, one can feel the road underneath, be it potholes, bumps, ripples or road joints, but rarely does the ride feel harsh, busy or bothersome. The front is well sprung and damped, but the rear could feel a little more settled than it is, particularly over bumpy roads at speed. The Ronin has a better suspension setup overall. It feels more absorbent and pliant at both high speeds and slow, and over bumpy as well as broken roads. We still wouldn't call the ride plush, but it is more comfortable than the Hunter. And the Ronin is the bike you want to get if you have a bad back. This one goes to the Ronin. The Hunter uses basic cycle parts. It has regular telescopic forks up front and a preload adjustable spring shock combo at the rear. The chassis is a double down tube diamond frame, and there's nothing to write home about the brakes either. The Ronin's brakes aren't fancy either, and it uses a cradle frame instead of a diamond one, which means it doesn't use the engine as a stressed member. Not that it needs to, because it's already the lighter motorcycle here, but it does get a fancy suspension. It gets upside down front forks, finished in tastefully done gold hue, and a rear monoshock which offers more adjustment than the one on the RE. Additionally, it has bespoke Eurogrip tires, a brand we have come to like and appreciate for its ability to strike a good balance between grip, feel and longevity. The suspension and tires are just the start. The Ronin also offers LED lighting all around. It offers Bluetooth connectivity, and with it navigation as well. It has the more comprehensive instrumentation of the two. The fully digital unit has readouts for distance to empty and battery charge level, not to mention it gets switchable riding modes too. All of this, of course, is missing on the Hunter's part analog, part digital instrumentation. TVS has also taken not just a leaf, but the whole book out of Royal Enfield's accessible accessories library. It offers nearly 20 accessories to choose from, including adjustable levers, luggage options and a fly screen. The Hunter, of course, has its own elaborate range of accessories, and again, visual enhancements like the fly screen to engine guards to a nicer seat, mirrors and tail tidy option. Now let's compare the exhaust notes of the two motorcycles. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the Ronin. We're going to make you listen to it at idle, then at 3000 RPM and 6000 RPM, and we'll repeat that with the Hunter. Now, to give you a correct perspective about how one would hear it, in the real world, we won't enhance the sound of the exhaust note, and what we're going to do is Pratik will take a step forward and then he'll go to a 45-degree angle and wait there with the sound recorder, and we'll catch that. Okay. So first, we will begin with the idle. Now to 3000 RPM, and now to 6. Now let's see how the Hunter does. And now the Hunter, and if you're wondering how am I going to find out what it sounds like at 3 and 6000 RPM given it doesn't have an RPM meter, well, I'm just going to go by feel. So first, the idle. Now what might be 3000 RPM? And now what might be 6000 RPM? And you can tell us which of the two exhaust sounds you liked in the comments. Now both these bikes here make 20 horsepower, and that's where the similarities between the two end. Let's look at the Ronin first. A little over 20 horsepower from a 226cc engine, so clearly in terms of specific output it is better. Also in terms of power to weight, this only weighs 160 kgs, and with 20 horsepower, power to weight is again better on the Ronin. The Ronin also uses a near perfect square engine, which means the bore and stroke values are almost identical, and that means that it should give the Ronin good mid-range torque, but also make it easy and high revving compared to, let's say, the Hunter. But that we'll see how it fares on the road. And the engine is then mated to a 5-speed gearbox. The Hunter, on the other hand, uses a long stroke engine like most REs do, and that means it should have good low and mid-range torque, but when it comes to revving, it's not going to rev as easily as the Ronin, and it's also not going to rev as high as the Ronin. It's also heavier, 180 kgs, so clearly power to weight is not loaded in the Hunter's favor. What is loaded in the Hunter's favor is torque to weight. It makes over 10 Newton meters more than the Ronin, and that should reflect when we're doing roll-ons or when you're trying to overtake slow-moving traffic. So how do these numbers really translate into the real world? Let's see. In the real world, the Ronin immediately strikes you as the more eager motorcycle. It gathers revs quicker than the Hunter, and it's happy revving to its red line too. It also seems to run shorter ratios for its 5-speed gearbox, which further enhance the feel of performance. These closely stacked ratios also mean that the Ronin never falls out of the power band, giving the rider the purchase he or she wants every time the throttle is open. Just to give you an idea, the Ronin will pull cleanly from 3000 RPM without complaint as far as tractability is concerned. The Hunter feels comparatively more relaxed in the way it delivers its performance. It feels like it is running a bigger engine that has a lot in reserve, but it won't be rushed to deliver it instantly. Now, don't get us wrong, it is brisk, but just not as alive as the Ronin. At least coming off a traffic light, the Ronin is clearly the faster of the two. The Hunter is fantastically tractable though, and it will keep up with city traffic without a bother, overtake without much effort, and hit 100 km per hour without gasping. So between the two, if you want a keener sense of performance, the Ronin is the one, but if you want a big bike feel, then the Hunter is clearly the answer. On the handling front, the Hunter disguises its weight beautifully. It feels agile and willing and intuitive, and on a dry winding road, it can be loads of fun. The only thing holding it back are the tires and maybe the front brake, as it lacks power and bite and it fades a bit too quickly. The Ronin, its commuter seating notwithstanding, is light and agile. It tips into corners without much effort, stays true to its line, doesn't weave or wallow when leaned over, and those Eurogrip tires offer enough feel to build the rider's confidence. Given that the Ronin is lighter, it has the smaller capacity engine, and it runs a slimmer rear tire, it's no surprise that the TVS turned out to be the more fuel efficient of the two motorcycles here. It returned a little over 42 kmpl on our test route, while the Hunter's fuel efficiency figure was almost 36 kmpl over the same route carried out at the same time with the same two riders. Add to it a fuel tank capacity of 14 litres and 13 litres for the Ronin and Hunter respectively, and the TVS offers a theoretical range that's over 100 km more than the Royal Enfield. Now, like we said at the start, there's no easy answer as to which is the better motorcycle to buy. The Ronin is the easier of the two to live with. It is easier to ride, it is easier to put on the stand, it has a lighter clutch, it's nimble but comfortable, it is agile, and it's alert but easy. Now, the only reason why you wouldn't want to buy the Ronin is if you cannot adjust or cannot get used to its confused styling. The Hunter, on the other hand, is more neo-retro, or is the better neo-retro motorcycle to buy. And it begins with that engine. That long-stroke engine has that hint of old-school thumper vibes in it, which, and I don't mean vibrations, but that sense that it takes you, transports you back to that time. And the rest of the motorcycle, the wheels, the suspension, and the way it handles is sporty, like a new-age motorcycle should be. So it blends the two quite well, and of course it is the better looking motorcycle. So which one should you buy? It's quite clear. If you want an easy to ride motorcycle, well engineered motorcycle that has the retro styling but is very modern in every which way you want to look at it, it's the Ronin. But if you want that goodness of the neo retro character and of course the heartwarming styling, then the Hunter is the one to choose. And now it's time for a drag race. What we've tried to do here is to balance the power to weight. And so the heavier 180 kg Hunter gets a lighter 65 kg rider in Pratik Bhanushali, and the lighter 165 kg Ronin has me, 85 kgs of awesome fat. And with both bikes making 20 bhp, it's anyone's guess which motorcycle will win the drag. So the Ronin wins, and with me on board. It wasn't the lighter bike anymore with the two combined, but it has a quicker and easier revving engine, and it has shorter gear ratios. Plus, its clutch is better when it comes to these launches. So if you want a faster drag bike, even with a heavier rider, well, TVS is the way to go.